Hey, Princess India here. I just wanted to share a quick little bit of inspo with you. So, Spirit led me to start decluttering my life. I utilized the Kamari method and I started with my closet because the whole little process starts with clothes. And I wanted to share the finished product with you guys. Literally, my closet has never looked like this, like in life. Like, I'm literally not kidding. But that also inspired me to declutter the rest of my life. And as I cleaned, I got so many spiritual epiphanies. It started a whole little purge. I cried and things, a lot of releasing going on, but I feel so much lighter. And I just wanted to inspire you guys to take that into consideration as we're going into the retrograde. It's a great time to clear out your life, get a jump start on your spring cleaning, and it's also an explanation for why you're only going to see my hands this month, because the rest of my house is a total mess. I love you. On to your March reading. Energy. Okie dokie, Taurus. Let's jump right in. Let me put my amethyst here. So we're doing the spread a little different, so I'll explain as I jump in. I don't know why I'm hearing from American Dad, dive right in. It was a horrible Roger impression. Anywho, so with the spread, the first thing that we're looking at for the whole month of March generally is the source of your unhappiness or discontent or what's leaving you feeling kind of stuck and icky. And this is everything that you need to release and what it is that you want to welcome in. So the source of Taurus's unhappiness for the month of March is the Hierophant. This is challenged by the Two of Wands. Interesting. Organization, not in the sense of like decluttering organization, but like an organization, like an actual like company or like a nonprofit, or it could even be like a church. But it more or less seems to me like an oppressive force or an organization that is leaving Taurus in a place where, and this is kind of similar to what I got for Pisces, where it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and not really sure how to move forward. This could also be a commitment or a marriage, or it could simply just be commitment in general in reference to work life or love life. But I want to clarify that just because that reminds me a lot of what came out for Pisces. What is the Hierophant about? Whoa. The Temple Path and Broken Heart. Oh, wow. There's a need for healing here. So it's more or less like it could be, now still looking at this the same, this could be a relationship or anything that involves like a commitment, right? And looking at it from like a ritualistic standpoint, it's kind of one of those things like going through the motions, right? So, and I hate to use the Catholic Church as an example, and it's not anything negative about the Catholic Church, but it's just if you're familiar with the Catholic Church, like it's the fact that, you know, it's rituals, right? So it's like, you know, there's different parts of the mass and so on and so forth. Now, there's some people who could be like Catholic your entire life and like know every part of the mass, and you go to mass and you'll do each part of the mass, but your heart isn't in it. So it's more or less, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not oppressive in the sense that like this organization or commitment or what have you, like it's actually oppressing you. It's just the simple fact that of not being like in alignment with it anymore. So it's like not resonating with it anymore and being on autopilot and just going through the motions, right? Now, the biggest challenge to overcome, and this is what came out for Pisces actually. I think these two, what needed to be released for the emotional well-being, I think for Pisces, these two cards were side by side. But in essence, it's having that one foot in, one foot out. So in order for the discontentment or the unhappiness to be resolved, there's a need to pick a side in a sense. It's like something has to be left behind and something has to be moved forward towards. But in so many words, the struggle right now is that you can't have one foot in and one foot out. So looking at our clarifiers here with the temple path and broken heart, the temple path is talking about, which is much like the work your light card that we got for Pisces as well, is taking the journey within. And I would say that's because of a broken heart. So it's a true, genuine unhappiness. Like maybe, and if we look at it as a relationship, it's being in a situation out of obligation and not because it's emotionally fulfilling. So there's a need, like the solution to this really would be taking a journey within, reconnecting with your heart space, figuring out what it is that actually would make you happy. And that would thus heal this brokenheartedness that we're feeling, right? So next we're looking at what to release for your physical well-being. And we have the 8 of Cups. So it's walking away from something. Wow, that's huge. So it's more or less looking at this from the perspective of, and this is funny because this reminds me of the dream that I had last night, actually. It's more or less, well, I'm just going to tell you the dream. I'm trying to keep these short, but the dream is pretty short. I had a dream last night that I was moving, right? So it's like everything in my room is packed up in boxes. So I had like 2 big flat screen TV boxes. And when I walk into my room, I see this frog laying on its side, right? And frogs are a symbol of like renewal, rebirth, and transformation, very similar to like how butterflies are, right? Because it goes from tadpole to frog. It goes from being in water, you know, to being able to be married to both, proverbially speaking, in the sense that, you know, frogs can breathe air on land and then they can still survive in water. So, anywho, so it's almost like keeping a part of the old self with you as you go forward. But when I noticed it was laying on its side and it was like sitting right in front of the window, and the side that he was laying on was like green, but the rest of him was white, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, it's like he's been in the window so long, he's been bleached by the sun, right? So I left out of my room and then I came back, and when I came back, he was completely rejuvenated and was like shiny, pretty, like neon green. And he's sitting there like looking me straight in my face. And I'm grossed out like there's a frog in my room, right? But I could not help but like stare into his eyes. But it's like a sense of peace kind of came over me. And I guess you would say like telepathically, it's like when we made that connection, it's like I told him like, you know, you don't belong here, you know, like this isn't, you don't belong in like a bedroom in a house. Frogs are supposed to be outside. Right? So it's almost, it was like a quiet acknowledgement. Like he was like, you know what, you're right. And he jumps off of the box and like jumps out of my room and leaves. And I woke up. And this is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this. It's more or less like the present heartbreak is because of being out of alignment. And it's like what it is that you're in alignment with is more out of obligation than it is it being a heart space. So much like how it was with the little frog, like he was completely bleached out, you know? Because it's like direct exposure to where it was like sucking his little life force out. You know what I mean? So it's almost like with the 8 of Cups, it's saying that despite the time, energy, and effort that was put into something, that it's time to move on to the next journey. Because as we know, every single physical ailment that human beings suffer with, right? It all begins as an energetic thing. So it's kind of like when your spirit is telling you something or sending you messages about something and you don't heed them, it's like that energy will start to build up and it starts to manifest in different ways. And worst case scenario, it starts to manifest as like physical ailments. So that's kind of why, like, you know, if you're stressed out and you have shoulder tension, or your neck hurts, or you have like a tension headache where it feels like there's like a vice grip on your head and stuff like that, like all of these things are like those warning signs that we may not have, that we may have potentially overlooked intuitively, right? So it's more or less what needs to be released for your physical well-being. So like if this is a job or even a relationship, it's the fact that it's causing you so much stress that it's affecting your quality of life. So, and a lot of times, and I know with Tauruses, with us, it's very difficult to change, especially when we've invested a lot in something. So whether this is with a company or with a relationship, I can understand where the challenge comes in. You know what I mean? To talk about moving forward, because it's the thought of all of these cups. It's like I've put, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into this type of deal. But with the Eight of Cups, the guy walks away to a new journey despite what it is that he's left behind. It's like, yes, I put this energy in, you know, but I have to go in the direction of what is truly in alignment with me, you know. And what I can even say in reference to this, if you're afraid of walking away from something, is I look at it like the energetic bank. So we live in a realm of reciprocity, right? An energy exchange. So whatever amount of time, effort, and energy you put into something, it's like, think of it as you putting energy tokens, right, into the universal bank. So if you don't cash them in here, it's like the energy signature of all 8 of these cups is saved up for you in the bank. And on to the next journey, it's kind of like a 401k. It transfers with you, you know? So how you walk away. Wow, this is the same card. Pisces got this too. The 7 of Pentacles. So it's understanding more or less, and this is a lot like my dream, that this journey is done. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you planted the seed, you waited for the harvest is here. So it's kind of like, take what it is that you did all of this for and move forward. You know what I mean? And this is more or less needing to release in an emotional sense. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm seeing this because, of course, this is what you need to release for your physical well-being. So there's a need to emotionally disconnect and move on for your physical well-being. And this is more or less like a ritual that can be done to help you emotionally release. And that's like understanding and regrounding yourself in what it is you did this for in the first place, you know, because it seems like, I don't know, something that kind of got out of control, in the sense that in the beginning your intentions may have been one thing, and over time it's kind of like getting caught up into it. So okay, thank you, Spirit. That's an interesting analogy. So it's kind of like, okay, it's November, and you know Christmas time is rolling around, and your money's a little short. So you decide to get a seasonal position at Best Buy, right? The sole purpose of getting the seasonal position at Best Buy was to get extra money to buy your kids gifts for Christmas, right? It's March, and you're still working at Best Buy. And it's like you're stressed out about how your boss sucks, and it's like, oh, the hours are terrible. And the thing is like, you were only supposed to be there for Christmas to get your kids gifts. So it's kind of like the situation running away with you. So it's kind of like you were there for a purpose temporarily because you were a seasonal employee, but it's like you decided to stay. And this to me is saying it's taking what you came for. You came to get the money for your kids' Christmas gifts. It's March. Christmas is over with. So now it's time to go back to regular life, so to speak, right? Now, next is what you want to release for your emotional well-being. Man, these are like the same cards that we have for Pisces. That's crazy. but they're in different spaces. For Pisces, this was over here. So what you want to release for your emotional well-being is the Wheel of Fortune. So, and I'm getting that same vibe. Geez, I feel like I need to call my mom and be like, what's going on in your life? Because my mom's a Pisces. With me being a Taurus, I'm like, maybe you're going to give me some insight what's going on in your life. Anyway, but it's more or less allowing this cycle to end, in so many words. So whatever this is for you, it's more or less, I felt it for Pisces more in a sense of relinquishing control. But for Taurus, I'm feeling this more about like going with the flow. It's more or less, you may feel the need to step up and do something, but the key is to more or less sit back and relax and just let things fall into place, so to speak. Going with the flow, and going with the flow in the sense of it's like I'm feeling it like faith. It's like if you're in a space now, like say if you're in this space of dissension where it's like, okay, I know I'm not happy, but I don't know what the steps forward are. It's like just simply being aware of what we're aware of up to this point and allowing this cycle to shift. So it's more or less, and I'm trying to say it in a way that it makes sense. It's like by allowing it to shift, I don't mean like sit and do absolutely nothing. It's almost like following your unctions, right? Because it's almost like as the wheel turns, it affects everything that's around it. So with that affecting everything that's around it, it's almost like it would come in the sense of like an energy shift or an unction to where when it's over, you're going to know it's over, and then you would get inspiration of what the next step is, right? So more specifically is our how. Wow, that's direct. Page of Wands. It's going in the direction of what is passionately fulfilling for you. You know what I mean? It's more or less an acceptance of the fact that this is a chapter that's ending and it's now going in the direction of what's truly fulfilling. And if you look at this card, it's like, you know, he looks kind of sad and he's leaving somebody behind, but it's making that executive decision to go passionately in the direction of what's fulfilling for you, you know? And there is a sense of sacrifice with that, you know? There is a sense of maybe even disappointing someone or some people, but it's more or less, again, going back to our cards here, is really about you being fulfilled. It's like, is it really serving you to be in a situation that is a situation, or, you know, working for a company, being with someone, whatever, that's not pouring into you what you pour into it. You know, when there's a lack of reciprocity in a situation, it is taking more away from you than it's giving, right? So it's more or less emotionally releasing, like here, the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it. I feel like that's the only link between the two. But now it's like allowing yourself to sense that, you know, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone, you know? It's like sensing how that energy broke up and dissipated, and choosing, even though there may be some reluctance or, you know, sadness because of leaving something behind, and going passionately in the direction of what's more in alignment with you, right? So just like with the Two of Wands, it's like this wand here is chained to the past. It's like picking this one and knowing that with this, you're going to be going forward balanced and healed, you know, in alignment with oneself and having the world in your hands. So it's like you can manifest whatever from this point forward, right? So it's almost like starting a new journey, or being the apprentice of a new journey, so to speak. Now, what you want to release for your spiritual well-being, whoa, we have the Judgment card. Whoa, man, these readings are so freaking heavy, I can't even deal. Yikes, that's 3 major arcana so far. Woo, that's a lot. Yeah, man, this is leaving the past behind. It's and I say this sometimes to clients. It's like more often than not, we carry the past on our back like a dead corpse, you know? So it's almost like freeing yourself from this. It's saying that you're being called to a higher state of being, you're being called to another place, you're being called to another path. And in order to ascend to this, there's a need to relinquish what's weighing you down. Here, it's, the physical body and, your spirit, but in a more tangible sense, it's more or less your past tense. It's relinquishing this past tense and allowing yourself to ascend to another place. So the whole theme of this is leaving behind. That's pretty consistent. But with this being the Judgment card, it's like this is literally a spiritual call. It's like Archangel Michael sounds the trumpets, and it's like, you can't be here anymore. It's time to go. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of like what I sense with this feeling. Like when I talk about when the wheel turns and you sensing the unction, it's like, even if you don't have the verbiage for what it is you're sensing, I feel like on some level or another, like you know that you know that you know. Now your how is the Four of Swords. How appropriate. It's taking a rest. It's taking a step back. It's more or less, you won't find what it is you're looking for, the clarity that you're seeking in your doingness. And then I'm even seeing this Three of Swords up here and thinking of this. You're not going to find what you're looking for, get clarity in your doingness. It's going to be in your beingness. So there may more or less be a time in March where if you're sensing this, like emotionally, you're feeling something is shifting, and there may even be the desire where you want to disconnect, but there's like a fear that's related to it. You know what I mean? It's making the decision to take a step back, kind of detox and be with yourself in meditation in order for spirit to give you those next steps moving forward. You know what I mean? Because I don't really feel that what it is that's being sought here is going to be found from like a source outside of yourself. Like it seems like one of those things where this is between the person and spirit. So it's kind of like, even if you explain the whole situation to someone, I don't really feel like, I mean, a person would understand. I'm not going to say they wouldn't understand, but it's like, I feel like they would, but you wouldn't necessarily get the advice that you're looking for, because it's almost like this is one of those breakthrough moments. So like this is going to show up for the Taurus like a breakthrough moment. And it's one of those things where it's, creator to creation. And it's almost like you receiving your, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know what you would call that. I don't know, it's almost like your orders or something. Like, I don't know, I'm seeing it like a plan of action or something. It's like a divine plan of action that would be given to the Taurus directly from spirit. It's like nothing in the physical realm is going to be able to tell you what the next steps are. It's like that's something that spirit wants to tell you one-to-one. So something that's going to be important. And this is like perfect for Mercury retrograde, to be quite honest, because it's a time of like reflection and reevaluating. So it's more or less during that time of quiet meditation, reflection, reevaluating your life, your decisions, where you are right now. It's going to be a very clear and definite, like, proverbial trumpet sound from spirit that's going to let you know, like, what your plan of action is going forward, so to speak, right? Now, lastly, what it is you want to make room for. Whoa, that's good. Wishes being fulfilled, the Nine of Cups. So it's more or less, man, it's looking like to me that whatever this is that you're releasing, it's for your highest good, because this thing seems to be the blockage of where it is that you're trying to, or where your true fulfillment lies. So it's really not leaving anything behind per se. I mean, you are leaving something behind, but it's like it's for a greater gain. It's almost like going through life with a ball and chain on your ankle, right? And being afraid to let it go because it's always been there. And it's like spirit saying, hey, that ball and chain that you've had since birth, it's like that's been holding you back. And it's like, it has? I don't know, because it's always been there. And spirit being like, no, just trust me, like take it off. And then you take it off, you feel that weight being lifted, and you instantaneously get to where it is that you were trying to go with it on your ankle a lot quicker. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the vibe that I get. So you're making room for your wishes to be fulfilled. So whatever this is, it's past its expiration date, and now it's time to relinquish it. And how you do that, oh, this is wonderful. What is that? Four major arcanas now. And that's, of course, foundation and balance. How you do that is with the Temperance card. To me, this card is representative of spiritual alchemy, right? It's the spiritual ascension process, the proverbial, Jacob's ladder, so to speak. It's finding that, not finding, but more or less ascending to and cultivating that inner balance, and that inner balance state being manifested without. And I really feel like, this is interesting here, that I'm noticing that same angel there. So it's more or less, to me, Archangel Michael is going to be really important with this. And I would even say, with me thinking of Archangel Michael here, this very well could be something to do with cord cutting that needs to happen. And I know that's something I recently dealt with myself. It's more or less, when we're talking about energetic cords, they don't all have to be like spooky kind of stuff. It's more or less that anytime we connect with a person on an emotional level, and that could be like friendships, it could be co-workers, it's like we create etheric cords with people that we have some sense of connection with, right? But it's like when we move forward from those situations, there could be people that you're not physically in contact with, but there's still an etheric cord there. And if that person wasn't necessarily positive, it's like you're still exchanging energy through this cord, right? So that's how you get like communication when you're not in contact with someone, or you have dreams about a person. It's because there's still a, if you think about, what is it, that game Telephone, where you have like the two cans and the string, it's like you guys still have that connection. So, if you're not aware of it, it's like you're swapping energy. So if that person is depressed, you will feel their depression. If they're happy, you'll feel their happiness. But this whole talk that we're doing about decluttering and like clearing your life and things of the sort, I feel like energetic cords is one of those things. And I feel like anything past tense, even if you want to go as far as going with an energy healer, because with Archangel Michael, you can do a cord cutting, ritual yourself. And I mean, it's just as simple as closing your eyes and, asking Archangel Michael to cut all energetic cords that are connected to you that are no longer serving your highest good, and visualizing that and seeing him with his big ginormous sword just like cutting all of those cords, right? Because that has an effect on your auric field, your energy body, right? So it's more or less cutting ties with these things that are no longer serving you, making the decision only to align with what is in your highest good, cutting those cords, manifesting balance within so that it manifests without, you know what I mean? And your wish is being fulfilled, right? So it's like a little transformation / transition that Taurians are going through in this Mercury was I about to say Mercury retrograde? Really? This Mercury retrograde March we got going on. But of course, with the retrograde being in Pisces, a lot of this is emotional based. And that's something that I can say from my own perspective is like in the last couple of days, like I was talking about with me decluttering, It's like it was an emotional release for me of emotions that I hadn't allowed myself to feel. And it's like all of that had to come up. It's like grief came up, and so did anger, you know, of things that I thought I had already processed. But for this, to me, this is almost like an external manifestation, so to speak. And it's like an external manifestation / symbolism. So a relationship, a job, a circumstance is standing as a symbol to your inner state. So it's, you know, doing things out of obligation and not out of heart. And I feel like that's something that's changing for Taurus, where it's from this point on only doing things that are out of heart as opposed solely to obligation. And you guys have mountain goat, your little spirit animal. There's something out of balance in your life, so do whatever you need to do to correct it. That's why I love these cards. They're so creepy accurate. It's very true, man. That's the theme of all of this. It's like the imbalance is the source of the heartbreak, and it's like a need to go to the source. Like the source of the problem is the heartbreak, and the heartbreak is directly in alignment with the fact that you're not in alignment with what truly makes you happy. And if you don't know what that is, then this period would be you deciding what that is. Like, what does happiness look like for you? What is your true heart's desire? And regardless of what that is, Spirit is in support of it. So it's you making the decision to either go in the direction of what that is if you know what it is and you know your life isn't in alignment with it. And then for others of you, it's figuring out what that is and then going in the direction of it. All right. Fill up your well. Rest, retreat, refuel. Hello, Four of Swords. That is your little prescription right there. That's how you fix that imbalance. Next, we have play. Have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. Most certainly, do not take life so seriously. Because I know with Taurus, we have, like, we're very, you know, reliable. And it's like, you know, I made a commitment. You know, I need to fulfill my commitment. You know what I mean? Like, we're very loyal. And then, you know, us not liking change means 9 times out of 10, it's like we're always going to be there even if we don't want to. But I feel like there's a disconnect. It's like, it's more or less Taurus, you've done what you're supposed to do, but not what you want to do. It's almost like being, if we were to talk about oppression and being a slave to something, it would be being a slave to should, oughts, and supposed tos, as opposed to what I want to do, what feels right to me, you know? And it's almost like I said, the strong friend complex. It's like giving yourself, like I was telling Pisces about my bestie who's a Pisces, and how, you know, I tell her, like, dude, just let your emotions overtake you. Like, just go crazy. Just cry your eyes out, ugly cry, you know? And allow yourself to fall apart so you can fall back together, you know? And she's like, yeah, no. All right. So it's kind of like that same vibe that I get with Taurians here, in the sense of like having forgotten. And I guess the most tangible way that I could put it, it's kind of like, you know, finishing college, getting married, having kids, you know, getting a house, working your job, and it's like for 10 years it's just been that, and you've forgotten what fun is, or, you know, spontaneity, and, you know, just like that vibrant, rejuvenated life. Like the frog in my dream, it's like being bleached. You know? And it's like sunlight is a good thing, right? But too much of it isn't healthy. So it's almost like you guys, like being this, you know, Hierophant person. It's like doing your due diligence and your duty. It's like, and you've done that to a fault, because it's almost like, I don't want to go as far as to saying like being dead inside, But it's just like you don't even know what you're doing it for anymore. And that's because in the process of doing what you're supposed to do, it's like you didn't think about your heart, right? You can't lose in this game. You can't go wrong. It's not part of the plan. There's no way not to get where you are going. There is no way to miss your destination. Wow. And see, that's what I feel like it is. If we go back to the example of like working for 10 years, getting a house and stuff, it's like having a to-do list in life and checking it off, checking it off, checking it off. Because, and I had this thought yesterday of the reason why we're so afraid in life to relinquish control is often because we fear, what if I don't achieve something? Like if I just sit here, you know, and if I'm not hustling every single day, it's thinking that there's the possibility that you could actually not succeed, you know, that you could end up, you know, being like a failure or something, or not achieving your dreams or something of the sort. So that resistance ends up coming in the fact that you're really trying to outrun your fear of failure with doing. But the truth is, and I've said this to people before, because that was me before my career change. It's like you can bust your ass every single day and put your heart, soul, time, energy, effort into something. But it's like if you're not really truly in alignment with it and it just becomes going through the motions, you will get to the top of that ladder or the top of that mountain and realize nothing's there. It's like, oh, it's a nice landscape, you know, like, oh, I did all of this for this nice little landscape. You know, it's almost as if it was more like the journey is more important than the destination is what I'm trying to say. Because the destination, you're only there temporarily, you know. And I can even say that like an example too would be when I got my master's. It's like I worked so hard for 3 years and, you know, went through the worst stress of my life trying to study for boards and things of the sort. And the day of my graduation, it's like I'm waiting for them to call my name. They call my name. The dean puts my hood on. I take my little picture, you know, and then it's over. So in the matter of maybe 15, 20 seconds, what I spent and sacrificed 3 years of my life to gain was over like that. And I instantly walked from one side of that stage to the other to a complete new chapter. So now it was like, new therapist, now you got to build a business, you know? So if you think about that, with those 3 years that I spent, if you were to tune out from life and friends and family and fun and feelings for that 3-year span for a couple of seconds, is it really worth it? Is the question. You know? If the fear, like losing the game, if that fear was me never walking across that stage, it's like I did it. You know, you made it to the top of the mountain. You made it to the top of the ladder. But what's there? And if there's nothing there, but just a couple of seconds of an achievement of saying, ooh, I'm here, just to start all over again, right? It's like, was it worth it if you isolated yourself from living? You know, the journey is more important than the destination. But that's been your March reading, Taurus. I love your freaking face, and I'll see you guys sooner than later.
Energy, about to get in and fuck up the industry.